Hey, I'm here in the truck getting ready to head to the next tournament. Just finished up Lewis Smith. Another bad one. Terrible. And it feels worse when you had such a good practice and you felt like you had it dialed in. I don't know. It was just another one of those tournaments, sticking to my guns and I should be just going out there and fishing and trying to catch more fish. And that's what I did on day two. But here's a couple questions um, about that tournament. This one's from Patrick in New York. Why were you losing so many fish on that fish head? I live in New York and have never tried one of those. Will they work up north, and do you always lose so many fish on them? Just curious. Uh, I think the main problem for me was they were spotted bass, for one, and they were schooled up, and I think they were just trying to kill it. They were hitting it so hard and just missing the bait. I caught my fair share in practice. In the tournament, I just didn't get enough bites. And I don't know, I forget how many now, 7 or 8 bites, the real good bites I had on that bait on the first day, and just couldn't stick them. It was just, and to this day, I still have no idea why the ratio was so bad for hookups. But spotted bass are like that. When you're throwing that thing on largemouth, you catch most of them. At least I do. I've used a moderate action 7.5 foot rod, medium heavy, and it just kind of loads up. They'll tick it and then just load on it, and you don't even really have to set the hook or anything. So, and I've even caught smallmouth on it in the fall last year, messing around up on Lake Erie. So, to answer your one question, in New York, they'll definitely work. I mean, what doesn't work in New York? You guys got the best fishing in the world, and it'll definitely work there. But as far as why I was losing so many at that particular tournament, I'm just not sure. Hopefully that answers your question. This one's from Ronald in Virginia. What the heck happened on day one, dude? You said you caught them on a finesse worm on day two. Why didn't you catch them on the finesse worm on day one? And which head do you like the best? That's from Ronald in Virginia. And, you know, I just, yeah, if you'd have seen what I saw in practice with the way those fish, the size of the fish I was catching and how quick it could happen. I mean, you could pull up somewhere and literally catch 5 good ones in 5 minutes at, 12 pounds or whatever. So I, I just didn't think I would need to do anything as a backup plan on day one. And to be honest, I just stuck with that fish head all day, thinking right at the last minute maybe it'll happen. I was running and gunning and fishing a lot of places real fast, just looking for an active school. And I was obviously thinking about the points too. I don't need points. And I seen how quick it could happen in practice. Even just a couple of bites was all I needed. A couple of those 4 pounders, or even a couple threes. So I stuck with it. On that evening, going into day two, I just rigged up some finesse worms, and decided I wasn't going to have another miserable day like that. If it didn't happen early, I was just going to go into the best area and just stay focused and just start fishing it real slow with 6 pound line and a little worm and just cover the water. And that's what I did. And I caught them like crazy. It was unbelievable. 17 keepers even. So hindsight, I probably, looking back, I probably would have thrown the fish head on day one again. Just because of from my practice. As far as like the head that I like on a finesse worm, and I have been throwing them the last 2 or 3 years quite a bit more than I ever have. And I've got a perfect training ground in my backyard, Presque Isle Bay, where you can go up there with a jig head worm and catch 200 bass in a day, and I'm not kidding about that. Um, so we went out there a few days with different heads, and I like several different ones. I keep the Bite Me head. It's got what do you call that? A sprout style. It's not a perfectly round bend. It's a Gamakatsu with a flat eye. For largemouth, I really don't think you can beat that bait. Everything that hits it bites it. I mean, everything that bites it, you set the hook and you catch it just about every time when it's largemouth. With spotted bass and smallmouth, I don't use that one. I just think the point's a little bit too far from the barb. And a lot of times you don't get the perfect hook set. And I really, really like I started using the Giggy head, which I think is a great head. Jim Tutt hooked me up with those a few years ago, and I really like that. But for skipping and stuff and making hard casts, you really need a spring on there. I still use the Giggy head sometimes, but Sean Hornicky makes one, and I'm not even sure what it's called. You can search for it on the internet, a horned toad or something like that. But it's just like a Giggy head, only it's got a spring on it, and the angle's a little bit different. And that head really, really sticks, and that's my favorite one for spotted bass. I really like that one. So that's about it. So look for us. We're gonna keep answering questions. The next tournament is at Lake Norman in North Carolina. Love that lake. Had a good time. We were there last time. They were spawning. I think they're going to be spawning this year too. Lots of docks, the way I like to fish, and looking forward to that one. So we'll see you at Lake Norman.